In this mega series, we're taking a look at all 30 athletes that are competing at this year's World's Strongest Man, looking at their story so far, how we think they'll do in the events, and how we rate their overall chances. I feel like I've said that quite a few times already.
And now you're doing it without any cuts.
With no mistakes now.
That's very good.
So today I should mention we are looking at Pavlo Kordiyaka, the winner of OSG in 2021. Auntie Liz, tell us about Pavlo.
Pavlo Kordiyaka's first big, really notable achievement was back in 2020 when he won Ukraine's Strongest Man, beating the former champion Alexei Novikov in the same year that Alexei won the World's Strongest Man. In 2021, he competed in and won the official Strongman Games, which is a qualifier for Giants Live competitions. That earned him an invitation to the 2022 Europe Strongest Man, where he placed fourth, beating some experienced competition. So Pavlo's not here to play, is he?
Pavlo has been really impressive. You know, I think the 2020 Ukraine Strongest Man is when we all started hearing about him, because that show wasn't that long before World's Strongest Man that year. And obviously Alexei going on to become the World's Strongest Man, having been beaten at his national show, people started looking into Pavlo. I started to hear about him a bit more and was very impressed by what I could see. He's very athletic, very good overhead, dynamic, explosive athlete. The only one element of weakness he seems to have right now is maybe a weaker deadlift. That's something he's got time to work on and improve, but he is a dangerous strongman and someone that's going to be a threat in anyone's group. I also think we should point out, you know, he came fourth at Europe's Strongest Man and he really wasn't training.
No,
obviously, the war going on in Ukraine right now, it's very difficult, and it certainly was then. That was the early stages of it.
Yeah.
Now he's getting back into full-time training and things have been a little bit better for Pavlo.
Yeah.
I'm not saying things are better, you know, but he's been able to train properly as a full-time professional athlete again, and he's preparing hard for this World's Strongest Man.
Into the events then, and we are starting with a loading race.
And loading should be a great event for him. We don't have a huge amount of history in terms of competitions. Pavlo has competed 7 times internationally. He's won 1 competition as well, which is a great start to a young career. He's been on the podium a number of times in a lot of shows.
5 times, I think it is.
5 podiums already. That's very impressive. And he's very consistent. He's a real athlete. That's one thing we have to kind of mention about Pavlo. He's not like a big powerlifting brute. He's very athletic, very explosive, got good Olympic type lifting background, and he moves exceptionally well. So the loading event should really suit him. I've mentioned with other athletes, he's tall, he's got long arm span, like a wingspan, which when you look at the objects that you usually use at World's Strongest Man, they're normally big. So they like objects to be big because visually it looks so much better than like a small heavy keg or something. So sometimes you get the big blue barrels, which I'm not short, but I struggle to get around. You know,
See you roll it back on your
I don't want to even think about it. But he's got a longer arm span than me, and he's fast.
Yeah.
So I think he can score very, very good points when it comes to loading.
I don't think Pavlo will really suffer with the nerves that much. He seems like quite a cool character, doesn't he?
He does, and I guess one of the things is he's going through a war. And if he has that mentality, goes to World's Strongest Man, give 100%, you know, whatever happens, happens. It's not the end of the world because there's a lot worse going on. He could perform exceptionally well. You've
mentioned it being a bit of a weakness for him. And then next we have the deadlift ladder.
Yeah, I think this is where he's going to lose points. Yeah, a lot of points as well.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, his deadlift is a weakness right now. Didn't really do that well at the deadlift ladder at Europe's Strongest Man. He was 9th out of 10 on the deadlift ladder again at OSG. So it's clearly not his best event.
He was suffering with an injury there.
He was, but every deadlift result I can find of him is not particularly the best. So I'm not going to make excuses for his deadlift.
No.
It's his weakest event. He has some amazing events, but this, unfortunately for him, isn't one of them. Still young in the gym, has plenty of time to improve that lift, and we've seen some tremendous athletes go on to be incredible strongmen that weren't good at deadlifting.
Yeah.
Vasil Verastik, winner of the 2004 World's Strongest Man, wasn't a great deadlifter. Magnus Samuelsson was not a great deadlifter. Even the incredible Mateusz Kieliszkowski.
Yeah.
We talk about his deadlift being a weakness and we know how good he is. So just having one weakness is not the end of the world.
Next is the car walk, and we know Pavlo's a fast athlete, but that doesn't necessarily mean someone's going to be good at a car walk, does it?
Not always, no, but he has decent history in terms of yoke and car walk events. Did the car walk at OSG, placing 3rd, I believe, there, behind some very, very fast times. And he actually beat some decent yoke/car walk type athletes as well. So he's more than capable of picking up points. I don't see him as an Alexei Novikov or a Rob Kearney who are kind of dominant in that type of event, but he's certainly more than capable of picking up big points.
Next is the log lift, and if I'm remembering correctly, Pavlo's log was pretty good at OSG.
Pavlo's log is very good. He's very, very consistently performed well on log lift type events, particularly for reps, but he's very, very good for max as well. But on reps, he's pretty much always near the top of the table. And I expect nothing different on this. He's very well conditioned and a fit, powerful athlete. He's got great explosive power overhead. He doesn't press like a big chunky Zadrunas or an Eddie Hall or something like that. He's explosive. Reminds me of a Koklaev.
Yeah.
Not quite as proficient in terms of Olympic lifting background, but very, very explosive, fast, dynamic lifting. And that conditioning and fitness helps him for reps as well. So I think he can get big points when it comes to the log for reps.
So then we have the wrecking ball hold. How do we think Pavlo's grip is?
Again, he's another athlete that has all the tools to be good at grip. Not been tested that much. He's pretty solid when it comes to farmers and frames. I've got one contest where he did do a Hercules hold and he placed pretty well. He's not been tested against the best in the world though, so it's hard to really compare how good he is right now. But he's got all the tools. We spoke about hand size and stuff like that. He's not a small man, his hands are big, and he's tough. He's got that mental toughness, and that's what it comes down to a lot of the time. Locking those hands in and then just fighting the pain for as long as you can. I'm sure he's capable of doing that. I think he can get decent points.
So if Pavlo comes 2nd or 3rd in his group, which I think we're probably going to be in agreement is a very good chance of that happening, he'll have to do the stone off.
He will indeed. And Pavlo is like many athletes at World's Strongest Man. Almost everyone that goes to World's Strongest Man is decent at Atlas stones. There are guys that are exceptional. If he can avoid some of those exceptional guys, he has a great chance. He was very, very good at the stones at OSG, and he beat an exceptional stone lifter there in Wesley Claiborne. For those that don't know, Wesley is an immense stone lifter. You might not have heard of him in terms of top-end strongman, but he's a very high-level American strongman and incredible at Atlas stones. So to beat someone like that, it's impressive. I think if he can get himself into the stone off, as long as he can avoid the freaky stone lifters,
Tom or Maxine,
he's got a great chance of getting to the final. And if he can get to the final, he has some very good events in the final as well. I think the NAC medley, he could be really good at. We know he's good at loading type events. Yoke is one that we want to see a little bit more of, but he's solid. Deadlift for reps, he's going to struggle. He's going to be bottom end of the table, drop a few points there. If you have seen some of his recent training videos on the Flintstone lift or the behind the neck jerk, that's what he's been practicing. He put up a 230 kilo behind the neck jerk recently. That is massive. Now let's bear in mind, at World's Strongest Man, the biggest lift ever on this event before. We're going back a long time, but it was 210 kilos by Gary Taylor. Gary Taylor did 230, I think it was 31 or 32 kilos in a contest up in Scotland.
Okay.
Going back a good amount of time again. And the biggest lift we've ever seen in a behind the neck jerk in a strongman competition or behind the neck press is by Misha Koklaev, the incredible Russian weightlifter. He did 240 kilos, I believe, in 2006.
Why do I think it was 270?
There is rumours of Shahlaei and Gary Taylor doing 270 in training.
Oh, okay.
So I've heard that number thrown about before. I actually spoke to Gary Taylor and he told me he did it in training. And I've heard the same of Shahlaei. So those two, both former Olympic lifters. Incredible, explosive power. But in strongman competition so far, 240 is the record. 230 kilos by Pavlo in training looked very impressive.
It did. I think if he got into the final, I think this is an event he could win.
Potentially. And there's a couple of events he could really mix things up and get some decent points in, such as the power stairs.
Yeah.
He was second at Europe's Strongest Man on the power stairs. He's built well for this type of event. I think another event where he can get some good points.
Atlas Stone with a run-in, that could really suit someone like him.
Yeah, he's fast, he's athletic, and I think he's got the endurance to actually still be performing well at this stage of a competition. A lot of guys, by the final, you've gone through 12 events, you're feeling really, really battered. They start to struggle. Pavlo's fit, he's conditioned, and I think he can still keep going no matter how deep into this competition he goes. The question is getting to the final.
So I think the toughest thing for a guy like Pavlo this year is he's not going to be seeded. So getting into the final in the first place is going to be hard. It's going to be knocking out a big name.
Well, there's so many great athletes at World's Strongest Man. That is the question. And Pavlo is really one of those guys I think a lot of the seeds will want to avoid.
Yes, definitely.
You've got like a clear top 10 that are going to be ranked. And then there's guys like Pavlo, guys like Ivers, a few others that are real dark horses that could cause people a lot of problems. He's not a guarantee to get to the final, but I believe he's got a good chance. And if he gets there, could do a lot of damage.
There we go then, guys. Pavlo Kordiyaka. We are almost halfway through our series, which means we are edging ever closer to World's Strongest Man. If you enjoyed this video, please do not forget to like the video. Make sure you have subscribed. Make sure everyone you know is subscribed. Make sure you share the video. Tag the athlete. Tell them we're talking about them. And I think that will probably do the trick. And don't forget to let us know in the comments how you think Pavlo could do in his first World's Strongest Man.